Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our very first session of our Immersion Day for Logistics and Supply Chain. So for this session, what are we covering? We'll be covering on track and trace mechanisms so that we are able to support you in ensuring robustness and transparency in your delivery tracking. So I am Pei Yi from the AWS Startup Sales team, and together with me, I have Fernando and Sebastian, who are the solutions architects from our team, from the Amazon Location Services team and Startups team respectively, who will also be our speaker and moderator of today. And we also have our co-organizers of the event, Aspirenix, who have been a great support in operationalizing the event. So we would like for this session to be as helpful and engaging as possible. So please share any questions that you have in the Zoom chat, and Fernando and Sebastian will address them at the end of the session. We'll also be recording the session to be able to share this with you post-event. So without further ado, I'll pass the time on to Fernando to introduce himself.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Very nice meeting you. My name is Fernando. I am a solution architect at AWS, especially solution architect at AWS. And we will. All right, just making sure you can all see my screen, the presentation screen. Can you?
It's still loading. Oh, yes, now we can
Still
see
loading?
it, and we can see you too.
Okay. All right, perfect. Yeah, so I'm sorry about this. I think it's because I'm a little far away from you guys. To be honest with you, I think it's low because of it, but let's get moving. So again, hello everyone. My name is Fernando. Thank you so much for being here. I'm a worldwide specialist in mobile and front-end technologies in AWS, and this is Amazon Location Service, right? How to add location mechanisms to your solutions. Overall, if you ever had a conversation with your organization or yourself ever showed interest in providing value to your business based on location data, delivery optimization, asset optimization, location-based marketing, this session's for you. And it doesn't matter which industry you're coming from, if you're in retail, oil and gas, mining, agriculture, startups, aerospace, geospatial, travel, whatever industry you're coming from, this session is also for you, right? Everyone can get a lot of insight and information and value from location-based data. So stick around, pay attention, and I guarantee that you have some amazing pieces of information in your brain by the time we're done. Okay, okay, there you go. So the goal of the session is to give you enough knowledge to start a conversation or really understand what Amazon Location Services value proposition is, where its strengths are, and which features it currently supports. I'll show you how to get started with the service, so you can start playing with yourself with the service yourself there and really understanding what it can do. The resources we have available to help you. We have some sample coding that you can just go to, copy and paste, and start working with Amazon Location very easily. I'll show you a quick demo. I'm actually going to demonstrate the features of the service themselves, right? Because I think it's going to be quicker this way, because I'm going to show you all the features we have instead of just tackling one single use case. And then we can jump into a Q&A session, okay? Now, on the 100 level overview, we're going to jump into some of the services differentiators and the value proposition, okay? This content is very sales oriented at some point, right? So we're gonna go through it rather quickly so we can jump into the things that are really interesting, right? The features and how we use them properly. And before we talk about the solution, we need to understand what customers are asking for. What are you probably facing today if you ever try to onboard a location-based system, right, or service into your solution? What are the challenges that we usually see from customers when they're trying to do such thing? So first of all, creating applications with third-party location providers usually takes time. It's not just building, but operationalizing, integrating with the rest of the solutions. You need to worry about metrics, logging, auditing, event-driven programming models. None of that comes out of the box when you're talking about custom-made integrations. So time to market takes a hit in this case. Another point is that location-based systems rely on what? On location-based data, of course. And you can't just onboard a new location provider magically. There are international standards amongst providers, but they usually have a different way of onboarding and delivering data to customers. So that does not come easy. You need to set up a new billing relationship with the data provider, set up a new account, manage security credentials, gain AppSec approval. We all know how complicated that is sometimes. And that's all totally doable, okay? But it's not really adding any value to your work. So also, data needs to be very comprehensive, needs to have a lot of quality, needs to be accurate, needs to be fresh. So customers with global footprints, right? If you have footprints that span that goes beyond Asia, you will probably know that data coverage from provider to provider, if you ever chose to use other providers out there, they're very inconsistent, right? What works really well in Singapore may not work well in Berlin, may not work well in Brazil, may not work well in Japan. So that's also a problem. Now, the biggest problem that I see today with these services, location data is 100% of the time subjected to very strict privacy regulations. So customers are very concerned about guarding their location data, personnel, fleets, assets, facilities, everything is really important to them in this particular situation, right? When you deal with location-based data. And lastly, cost, right? Okay, everybody's worried about cost, everybody's interested in cost, everybody wants things to be amazing and cheap, right? But location-based solutions are rather expensive unless you're willing to make some privacy concessions. So cost in this case is really constraining innovations. Well, that's why AWS built Amazon Location Service, to bring customer all these benefits when you need a location-based solution. So first of all, what are the features we cover? First of all, we have maps, how you visualize surroundings and overlay data. We have places where you can convert addresses to coordinates and vice versa. You can also search for places of interest. We have routing. You can plan routes between points. Tracking, where are my assets, where are my fleets, where are my resources, where they have been historically. And geofencing, right? How can I define a spatial area that is an area of interest to me, right? We're gonna go deeper into every single one of these features soon, in a few slides. Now, first of all, how can you shorten time to production with Amazon Location Service? First of all, it integrates with Amazon CloudWatch, where you can log and monitor and add metrics and alarms to the system itself. So you have complete control of your service, how it is behaving, and act on your findings. You can also use CloudTrail logs to understand how your service is being configured, right? Who is creating resources, who is deleting resources, how are they being created, which accounts am I using, what are the roles that I'm using to create this resources. So from an organization and governance control, you already covered too. You have identity and access management roles used to provide access or deny access from services to Amazon Location Service. And also CloudFormation is there so you can add location to your infrastructure as a service strategy. Okay, so as it integrates with all of the services, you know that all of these things that you need to worry about, they're already covered for you. Also has EventBridge integration. If you have an event-driven solution there, for example, if you have a geofence and you need to react to an entry or exit event out of that geofence, EventBridge is there to help you. It already comes out of the box for you to do that. And since this is a tool that's heavily focused on front-end development from a visualization and tracking perspective, Amazon Location Service also has many SDKs for multiple platforms, and you can also associate Amazon Location Service with AWS Amplify to facilitate your development process, especially from a security perspective. Okay. Now, how do you get easy access to high quality data? So you can also get this access from two trusted global experts, Esri and Here, and you access their data through a consistent location API. Okay, so it doesn't really matter which one of the services you choose, okay, to enable maps, places, and routing on your application. You will always get a very consistent API to put data and also to get data back from the service, okay? So you only need to worry about which service you're using when you create the resource. After that, the APIs are virtually the same, okay? And why do we have two providers, right? And when are we why do we plan to onboard more in the future? Because each provider gathers and curates their data using different means. So, and they also probably have, and they have varying expertises around the world. So you see that in Asia, maybe Esri works better than here, or vice versa, right? I know that Canada, the area that I live here has a better, here technologies has a better integration or understanding on addresses here in Canada, if I can say it like this. On security, very important piece, right? You retain control of your organization's data when you're using location service, okay? Tracking and geofencing information never leaves your account, all right? Remember that I mentioned very briefly that for mapping places and routing, we rely on Esri and here technologies for it, okay? But for tracking and geofencing, it all stays within your account. Information never leaves your account unless you want that information to be shared with someone else, right? So that's your prerogative. It's a shared security responsibility model that we work here. But you may ask, oh, all right, Fernando, but what about maps, places, and routing? I'm sending my information back to Esri in here, right? Actually, no, you're not sending your information. Amazon Location Service is not sending your information to third-party providers. It is sending the API requests to them, but all calls to Esri in here are anonymized. So Esri in here will never know who is making those calls. So if you're searching for a place, if you're calculating directions between two places, Esri in here will never know that you calculated that, you requested that calculation, right? All they know is someone using Amazon Location Service is requesting for that. So you see those people here with the X's around them, right? That's Amazon Location Service making sure that the request that is coming from the application is anonymized when it gets to Esri and here technologies, okay? And other than that, all data is already encrypted at rest and in transit, okay, by default. And for geofences and trackers, you can also use your own keys, customer-owned keys, using Amazon Key Management Service. So you can bring your own keys and use your own keys to encrypt, to further encrypt the data that's in geofences and trackers. So security, we're good. All right. So cost, okay? We have a free tier. We have 3 pricing plans. I'm going to go over them at the end. There's no upfront commitment, no minimum fee. It is a pay-as-you-go model, okay? And it is really cost-effective, right? We set out to price the service so that you could innovate without being constrained by this prohibitive costs that we see with the external providers. We have a very generous free tier, right, for 3 months for you to use. And depending on your use case, location service can be 2 to 10 times less costly than other providers out there. Now, all right, basic content's over. Let's dive a little deeper into.
So, Fernando, can you share your screen? Your screen is blank.
Oh, really? Shows here that I'm sharing. I'm sorry, Zoom is. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can, but we can't see your screen.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. Sorry about that. Let me share screen again. Sorry, guys, I promise it's not my fault. This is Zoom making it slow. All right. So let me play it safe here, and I'm sorry about this, but just to confirm, can you see my screen? Can you see the diving deep screen here?
Not yet.
Okay. Still loading?
Yeah, it's still loading. Could you try one more time?
Yeah. Try again. Let me turn off my video here just to be safe. I think it's adding some extra bandwidth that is not really needed.
Yep.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right, perfect. All right, guys, honestly, just to be safe here, instead of showing you the demo, I'm just going to go through the features because bandwidth is not our friend here, and I want you guys to leave with a good understanding on what we can offer. So I don't want to keep halting this. Okay. Can you can still see it, right? So I'm going to continue.
Yeah, on
Yep.
my end, we can see it.
Okay, all right. So the first feature we have are maps, okay? And we provide 7 different visualizations for you, okay? 6 of them provided by Esri and 1 of them provided by here. Okay, if you want to go to Amazon Location Service right now on your AWS console and start creating a map there, you will see right away that it will give you a visualization of that map for you. So you can see how cool it is, right? Especially this one here. I think this is my favorite one, Esri imagery. It has a very good resolution in certain areas of the world where you can see, oh, sorry about that. Where you can see objects in like 1 meter distance, right? So it's pretty solid visualization you have. Let me go back here because you just skipped 1 slide. So good thing to know here is that also provided by Esri and here technologies, okay, the mapping technologies. We have SDKs available for web and mobile. We have MapLibre, GL, right, which is a very popular provider, open source, and also Tamgram. So if you want to start building maps on Amazon Location using Amazon Location Service, you can take advantage of these 2 SDKs. What's important to know about maps, right? If you use Amazon Cognito, which is our IDP service, okay, identity provider service, you can allow unauthenticated guests to display maps using it, okay? So maybe you don't want to make users log in into your application to see maps and visualize points of interest, right? That's a common practice. So with Amazon Cognito, you can provide actually your users still in a very secure environment. Couple of important things here that I tell our customers: check the terms of service when you start building with Esri and here, because there are a few specificities there that you need to follow, right? For example, adding data attribution regarding your provider into your application or documentation. Another service we have, another feature we have are place indexes. All right, you can integrate searches in your application, also leveraging Esri in here. There's a pretty cool animation at the side here. So I'm searching for Tim Hortons, which is a very famous coffee chain here in Canada. You can convert addresses and other strings into geographical coordinates, right? Latitudes and longitudes. And you can also convert coordinates into street addresses, right? So this is called geocoding or reverse geocoding. So that's another feature you can add to your solution. And what else can you do here? So the API, the Places API, allows reducing the scope of a search by a position. So if you centralize on a location and pass that centralized location, latitude and longitude, to your search, it's going to add bias to your search and bring the results that are closer to you. You can also choose to set up an intended usage to your data. For example, if you want to store the results of your searches on your own database, caching service, or S3, however you want to store it, you can do that as well. Okay, you just need to tell the service that you're doing that. There's a price associated to it. And coordinates are in longitude and latitude, right? This may sound stupid to show you that, but we have providers out there that work with latitude and longitude. So if you pick up something from one provider and move to Amazon Location Service, you may see things in a different position on the map or not see them at all. So it may be because you're using different formats, right? But mainly it is an international standard for people to use longitude and latitude. Longitude first. So next one is routes. Okay, how you can estimate travel time, distance, and directions with traffic information and roadway information. All that data is also sourced from Esri and here. Okay, so for maps, places, and routing, we rely on Esri and here technologies for it. So you can calculate routes between a departure position, a destination position, and up to 23 waypoints. So once the route is calculated, you get the time and distance it takes from one point to another. Also the line string representing a step in the route, so you can draw it on your map. That's the pink line, you can see there. And you also have detailed information about each leg of the trip. You can add up to 23 waypoints in between start and destination points. So let's say before going home, I need to fill out the tank or stop to buy groceries. Those are waypoints that you would be adding to add an extra, add this extra point would recalculate your route. We also have the concept of a leg. So a leg of the journey is the direction from one point to another, or from one waypoint to from the starting point to a waypoint, or from a waypoint to a destination. Good thing to know here is if your position, if your point, your waypoint or starting point or destination point, if they're not positioned in a road, the waypoint will be moved to the nearest valid position. So something that's good to know. And you might be asking, right, are the positions different from Esri and here? Yes, right, they have different ways of mapping this area. So you may see small differences here and there, and sometimes big differences depending on the area of the world. So if you're testing this, please make sure you test with 2 providers first before you choose the best one to embed into your application. Or you can embed both, right? Have 2 APIs and use the best one case by case basis. And what you can add to a route calculation, right? So you can set up a departure time to calculate the route based on predictive traffic. So if I want to leave tomorrow by 7 a.m., I might have some problems, right? Because a lot of people would be leaving for work at the same time, so the time may be different. If I'm leaving right now, I'm probably getting to my workplace or anywhere that I want to go a little faster. So it can predict traffic based on historical data and give you the best calculated results. Travel modes include car, truck, and walking, and there are extra travel mode options for cars and trucks. So you can avoid tolls, you can avoid ferries. For trucks, for example, you can add dimensions to the truck, weight, and height, which is really important because if you're in an area that your truck is going to have to go below bridges or tunnels, right? The height of the truck can really impact the route and how it's calculated. And results are providing distances, miles or kilometers, and seconds. So let's talk about geofences, right? Geofence collections allow you to create virtual areas of interest that can trigger enter or exit events based on the location provided by a device, an asset or person, whatever you're tracking right now. So you can use them to detect if an asset has arrived in a certain area, if a driver is close to a delivery point, if a person has entered a private location. You can also determine how many people have entered a certain building, or you can charge more or less on their trip based on their location, and many other use cases that you can have by using geofences. As I mentioned very briefly before, these events are sent to EventBridge, enter and exit events, right? If you have a device that is entering a geofence, this event is automatically sent to EventBridge, where you can create your event, your event-driven architecture, right? Where another service can react to that event being created. And what is important to know, you can create geofences using the console, using GeoJSON files, which is a very popular standard in the geospatial area. If you choose to use the APIs or the CLI to create your geofences, you're going to be using a geofence geometry object, so you can check our documentation for that. You can also evaluate if a device has entered or exited a geofence inside the collection manually. So if you don't want to use as EventBridge to evaluate if a device is inside or outside your geofence, there's also an API for that. And most importantly, as I mentioned before, geofences can be encrypted by using your own keys, using key management service. Okay, so you just create your own encryption keys, send it to KMS, key management service. And when you create a geofence collection, make sure that you say that you want to use your own keys for that. And it's going to be encrypted, further encrypted, because as I mentioned before also, this has encryption at rest and in transit automatically created for you. Okay, you don't have to worry about that. That's just for further encryption. Then trackers, right? Trackers are used to provide current and historical position for fleets of devices, people, assets, and also, as mentioned before, right? I'm repeating myself here, but customers you can link trackers to geofences to generate enter or exit events. So if you see the animation here, you have this particular device going inside a geofence and generating an enter event. Okay, with this enter event, you can do whatever you want. You can trigger notifications, you can trigger emails, you can trigger database changes, you can trigger way more than that. So let's say you are interested in a delivery application, right? Or you're tracking assets, and you need to know when a truck is getting inside a certain area, so you can mobilize your people to go around and prepare themselves to receive that shipment, right? So you can create a geofence boundary that is larger than the position where the delivery is going to happen. And you know that once the truck breaches that geofence, you need to start mobilizing people because they're going to be, let's say, 5 minutes away or 10 minutes away, okay? So that's a good use case for geofences and trackers together. And much like geofences, trackers can be created using your own encryption keys, same process using KMS. Last piece about trackers, the locations that are tracker sent, right? All the latitude and longitude of tracked devices, trucks, assets overall, all of that historical location stays in Amazon Location Service for 30 days, and then it gets deleted automatically. So if you want to check, okay, what was the historical position of this device 1 year, 2 years ago, you will need to move that data to another service. Okay, that's also important to know. And how do you react to geofencing events with Amazon EventBridge? So as I mentioned to you before, once an enter or exit event happens, this particular event is sent automatically to EventBridge. And EventBridge, you can think of it as just a gateway where you can connect to multiple AWS services. So you can send it to AWS Lambda, you can send it to Kinesis, you can send to Amazon Simple Notification Service. Okay, you have a bunch of options there, so you can pick and choose what to do with that event next. Okay, so remember when I said in the big beginning there, imagine how helpful this is, because you don't have to manage this or or control this or create this on your own, right? That comes out of the box for you if you use the service. And this is extremely powerful. And what does the geofencing event look like? So this is the type of geofencing event that you would get once an event happens, enter or exit. So it comes with an event ID. It comes with the resources that are being manipulated at that point. We have the geofence collection with a lot of geofences internally, right? I didn't mention this to you, but a geofence collection can have 0 or more geofences internally. You have the tracker associated to the device that you're tracking right now. And most importantly, you have the details. So the event type, if it was an enter or exit event, the geofence ID, the device ID, the sample time, and also the position, where in the world that happened. All right? And how you can get started, how you can get started. As I mentioned to you before, many SDKs for you to integrate, to interact with the service, C++, Go, Java, JavaScript, Node.js. So a lot of SDKs you can use. You can pick and choose your favorite programming language and go for it. And for front-end SDKs and libraries, you can use AWS Amplify, MapLibre, and Tamgram, okay, to help you manipulate the service properly. We don't have time, unfortunately, but we also have an interactive tool on our website, and I clicked it here. I'm not sure if it's going to open or not, but we also have an interactive tool, which is here. Let me see if it opens. I think I'm being extra brave here, but in the console, there's an interactive tool for you to play with the service. So if you want to know what maps look like, or what geocoding and address looks like, or geofences, routing, and trackers, you can go to the Amazon location service through your AWS console and click the interactive tool, and you can start playing with it. Okay. We also have some use cases to go over here. Let me fly them a little quicker. So with Amazon Location Service, you can optimize delivery and routing. It can help you delivery application store, track and coordinate source locations, delivery vehicles and destinations. So for instance, a food delivery application built with Amazon Location Service can use location tracking and geofencing to automatically notify a restaurant when its designated delivery driver is nearby. So that will reduce the wait time of the driver and help ensure the freshness of the food when it's delivered to the customer. That's what an architecture may look like, okay? You would be leveraging geofencing and tracking to understand where the delivery agent is, if it is close to the restaurant, if it is close to the user. If the driver breaches as a geofence, you can look at step 2 here, how Amazon EventBridge communicates to AWS Lambda to send a notification to the restaurant or the customer. All right. Dispatchers, they can also check for information where the devices are in real time by also using the tracker, geofencing, and other types of information. They can also leverage Amazon Location Maps for that. And on step 4, that's how you keep the data, the historical data, in another location, right? It can be your data lake, it can be Amazon Redshift, but you can see here with a few services how you can build a full-blown delivery application with Amazon Location Service and the other building blocks. Asset tracking, same thing. It helps businesses understand the current and historical location of their products, personnel, and infrastructure. You can use location service to optimize remote staffing, secure shipments, maximize dispatch efficiency, and more. And the architecture is pretty much the same, right? I'm just pointing out to a small difference here. So this particular case is not using a direct connection to Amazon Location Service to track devices, right? So if you are using MQTT, for example, if you have an IoT device, a Raspberry Pi, or an Arduino device, whatever device you want to use to track a location and send it back to AWS, the SDK will not be available to some IoT devices, right? So you can leverage IoT Core, for example, and with the Lambda function, you can communicate back to Amazon Location Tracking and send that information to Amazon, and it'll all work exactly the same way. Geomarketing, how businesses can use location data to better engage and market for customers. Local location service can trigger an event that prompts a notification to a cafe or coffee shop when a customer who ordered a coffee on their phone is nearby. The coffee staff can prepare the order in time. Also, retailers can use geomarketing to send notifications. They freeze? No. And same process applies here, right? I'm not going to go too deep into it. Same process applies here. We're also using tracking. We're also using geofencing. We're also leveraging Amazon AWS EventBridge to create that event-driven architecture and send notifications back to our customers. Now, last slide that I wanted to cover with you here is a little bit of a deep dive on our pricing. We have 3 different plans: usage-based, asset tracking, and asset management. So the asset tracking and asset management are for customers who own their own devices. So if you're tracking your own devices, right? If you're tracking your own fleet of trucks, if you're tracking your own containers, doesn't matter. If you own the devices, you need to use these 2 models: asset tracking or asset management. So for asset tracking, customers cannot use routing. So if you're route optimizing, you cannot use asset tracking. You can use asset management, okay? And that's a big difference, because the asset tracking plan, it costs you $1.50 per asset tracked, but asset management, which you're also using routing, is going to cost you $15 per asset to track and route optimize these assets that you have. So to clarify, because that was quick, think of an application that helps a company track, but not route or route optimize its vehicles. Okay, you can use for that the asset tracking plan, and with that you're going to be charged $1.50 per asset. If you also need to route optimize these assets, right? Making sure they use the best route to go from point A to point B, you need to go to the asset management plan, and it's going to cost you $15 per asset. So choose wisely, work with your AWS team to manage this price and cost optimize your solution. And if you have devices that are not owned by you, so for example, if you are working on geomarketing, or if you're building a food delivery application where a user is going to be using their own devices to work, right, and to deliver food, for example, you can actually evaluate Amazon Location Service for 3 months using a free tier, and then you will go to a usage-based plan. All right. So it's very different. Pick and choose your use case, understand your use case, and pick the right pricing model for it. Okay. So I'm sorry I had to expedite the end there, but I needed to reach that mark. I had a demo to show you too, so I'm really sorry about that. It happens, but I hope this was clear to you. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them right now. And I really hope you can still hear me.
Yeah, we can. So
okay,
in the meantime, so great. No worries. In the meantime, Nadia, would you be able to turn on the feedback poll? While I collate the questions, will Nadia please turn on the feedback poll so that the participants can give us the feedback. So your feedback is very valuable. It helps us to make the sessions better. So I have a few questions that's coming in. The first one is, can I pick different providers for maps, geocodes, and routes?
Yes, you can pick different providers for maps, geocodes, and routes. You can mix and match. You can use Esri for maps, and here technologies for geocoding for sure, for example. No problems there.
Okay, so I have another question from Francosis. Are there any plans to extend the routing with a feature to support public transportations or flight for multi-modal calculations? This is for asset tracking. And also another question is for asset tracking, pricing is per asset and per second, hour, or month. So they're looking into pricing. So there's 2 questions here.
Okay. So the first question, if I'm not mistaken, was around what? I'm sorry.
whether there is plans to extend the routing with features to support public transports or flights for multi-modal calculation.
Okay, all right. So so multimodal calculations are already supported, right? You can add up to 23 waypoints in between directions, like starting and finishing points, right? That can be done already. Is there anything else you mean by multimodal? If you want to answer that, that will probably let me give you a better answer if you want to, if you could. But your second question was around. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. Sorry. Let me just speak because typing is going to be a bit harder. No, I'm thinking because our use case is about shipments. So we are a mediation platform between airlines and freight forwarder. So we do a lot of route calculation to route the shipment of the forwarder from the origin airport to the destination airport. So sometimes we will do something like, CDG in Paris to JFK, and then take a truck from JFK to another airport in New York, and then fly to maybe Atlanta. That's the kind of routing I mean.
You mean air routing then?
Yes, both trucks and air.
Okay, trucks we cover, in the air we don't right now, and I'm not sure if there are plans to do that. I can check, but yeah, if you leave your contact with the organizers here, I can get back to you on that. But honestly speaking, I haven't heard anything related to that so far.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And the other question was about the pricing for asset tracking, because here I was thinking of some big shipments that might be worth like tracking.
Okay.
So is the pricing, let's say the shipment is going, for maybe 1 week or a few days. Is it going to be priced for this shipment like the $1 per shipment for like just the hours or days that we need, or is it going to be like a full month or?
So if it's your own shipment, right, and you're only tracking the shipments, you would pay $1.50 a month per device tracked, okay? But if you're route optimizing them, you're going to be paying $15. So you need to really think about what you're doing there. So your use case, as you mentioned to me, if you're tracking shipments, right? If you're tracking a ship from one port to another, and you're just emitting their geolocation, you would be paying only $1.50 per device, okay? And you get a very generous amount of calls there per month. And if you surpass that, you just pay some extra on top of that, right? Another $1.50, and then it doubles the amount of requests you can make. But to simplify the answer, the pricing is never based on time for how long you're tracking the shipment, is by number of requests, okay, that you are doing.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Any other question?
Do you guys have any other questions? In the meantime, I have one more regarding a live traffic data. Is there live traffic data incorporated into Amazon location service to calculate traffic flow?
So there's no live traffic data itself, right? So you cannot pick and choose an area in the world and then say, what does the traffic look like here at this point? What you can do is, well, based on the responses you get from here and Esri, you would be able to identify how long it would take you to get to a place. But no, unfortunately, no, we don't provide right now, for example, speed limits, how busy a certain area is, or anything related to that. No, but it is coming in the future, in the near future, but not right now.
Okay, thank you. So I don't see any more questions. Does anyone has any more questions? think if not, we can wrap this up. Thank you everyone for joining today's sessions. Oh, so there's one more. Sorry, there's one more. Could you please highlight about the pricing of geocoding services?
The pricing of geocoding services, sure. If I may, I'm a little concerned about my connectivity here, but let me share my screen again because maybe this will be a little clearer to you all. Let me share my screen here. If I can find my screen. This is Zoom. All right, share screen. Let me know if you can see the screen.
Not yet.
Still nothing?
Nothing. Maybe you could paste it on the chat. Is that would that make? Yeah.
I'll do that, but yeah.
Oh, we could see your screen now.
Oh, it's coming. Okay. Yeah, but the internet is not really. I don't know what's going on today, to be honest with you. But the pricing for geocoding, it is request based, right? So you will pay, and we need you to check here how much you would pay per request if you're using request based calculation. Okay. If not, you would be charged for it. So overall, it depends on your use case. All right. If you're tracking assets that do not belong to you and you're not using route optimization, again, you would be paying $1.50 per asset, and you will be getting a lot of geocoding requests from that, right? Same process if you were managing assets, meaning that you're also route optimizing, you would be paying $15 per asset, and you will get a lot of requests there that will probably fit your use case very well, right? So it's showing here. And for request-based usage, I'm hoping you can see my screen. Can you see it? For request-based usage, you get a free tier.
Can you make it bigger?
For 3 months. I can. Do something here. It's scary. All right, guys. I'm zooming here. Just work with me, okay, as much as I can. I'm trying to do my best here, but yeah. So if you're using request-based usage, you will get a free tier for 3 months. You get 10,000 address geocoded, 10,000 address reverse geocoded, and after that, you would be paying 50 cents per 1,000 geocoded assets, right? That's if you're choosing US East Ohio. You need to pick the right region here that you're using. Singapore, for example, price doesn't change a lot from region to region. If you're choosing to store results, every stored result, it's for per 1,000 stored results, you will be paying $4, right? So every $1,000, every 1,000 geocoding results, you'll be paying 50 cents. If you choose to store them, you'll be paying $4. Okay, just going a little bit here. If you choose asset tracking, mobile asset tracking, you will be paying $1.50 per asset per month, and you will get 25,000 geocoding requests per month. Okay, if you go extra, you'll be paying an extra $1.50 for it. And if you use mobile asset management, you pay $15 per asset, and then you get 250,000 geocoding requests. Okay, and if you go past that, you will reset this, and you'll be paying an extra $15 for it. Oh, an important thing to note is that this is per provider. All right, so if you choose, if you create a resource using Esri, it's $15 that you to pay per asset, and if you choose here, it's also $15, even if you're using the same asset. Okay, important thing to know.
So Anian,
any other
would you be able
questions?
to, so there's one more. So Anian, will you be able to come online to talk on your questions?
Say it again.
So there is a question regarding address store results, means that the address stored in Amazon location service. I'm not exactly sure what the question is. Could the person come online to talk about it?
If you want, I can clarify how stored addresses work.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, if you choose to store addresses, right? If you choose, for example, let's say you're searching for a coffee shop, and you know that people are going to be searching for that coffee shop multiple times, what you can do is you can choose to store that address on a database, on S3, on caching, whatever device you want to use to store that data, you can. Okay, there's just an extra price associated to it, which is $4 per 1,000 geocoding results that you store, right? So that's how it works. I hope it's clear. I'm sorry if I haven't answered it properly, but that's how stored results work. You basically, we give you the ability to pick up that result and store it wherever you want. Wherever you want, yeah. And you can keep it for as long as you want to. Okay.
Okay. I think we are time. We have a next session. Do you want to paste the Chime link for the next session? Oh no, Chime link, Zoom link for the next session. So we do have a next sessions coming up. Would you be able to elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining our first session. We are going to be having our second session on data and analytics. So essentially, how can your startup maximize the value of your data sets to achieve the art of the possible in the next session? So give me a minute as I paste the second link here.
Let me thank you all for your time, right? I'm sorry we had some technical difficulties. This happens. But I hope you got what the value proposition of the service is. And if you ever want to discuss it further, just let me know. I'd be happy to come back and do a deep dive with you and a proper demo. Okay? Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Fernando, for sharing with us more about Amazon Location Services Day. Yeah, so please hop on to the next Zoom session that we'll have for session 2. And also, if you guys have any direct queries that you would like to sync up with our AWS team, you can send it forth to me. And I'll also liaise with your account managers to address them. Yeah, so I've sent both the link and my email alias here for you guys to reach out to me. Yeah, so thank you so much. We are going to close this meeting to have the second meeting on data and analytics. Thank you.